And a very big hello, everybody. Welcome along to the Autodromo Nazionale de Monza, or if you prefer, the National Motor Racing Track at Monza, just north of Milan in Italy. Originally constructed in 1922, it was the third purpose-built racetrack in the world after Brooklands and Indianapolis. It's a track to be respected. Over the years in Formula One, it's claimed the life of 52 drivers and 35 spectators. 5.7 kilometres in length, 11 turns and 2 DRS zones. It is the first round of a brand new season. Let's take you to your commentary team.
All right, thank you very much, HK, for a beautiful intro. Not just the narration, which is great as always, but those graphics as well, introducing our audience to the amazing racers here in this Academy League. And I say amazing because, well, there's a lot of returning names and faces, some new ones as well, including a returning face in the broadcast booth besides me, James. Season number 5 underway. What a great track to kick this one off.
It's very exciting, Max. This is going to be an awesome race. Monza, very historic track, the temple of speed, so we should expect to see some rapid driving.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be hoping to see, particularly in this qualifying as well. Granted, this track might have some of the fastest top speeds, and really the most time you're going full throttle out of any track on the circuit. However, it's all about those exits. How well can you get out of those chicanes? When are you going to put that pedal down, not to sort of overdo it and oversteer yourself like we've already seen one McLaren kind of do already? It's going to be a fun one, that is for sure, and I'm really excited to see how this smaller grid actually is going to affect the tempo of this race.
Yeah, so we've only got 12 drivers racing at the moment, which leaves a lot of extra room to move around on the track and maybe potentially take a little bit more advantage of the extra space. So it's going to be good to see, but at the same time, it's a little bit disappointing we don't have 20 out. It is, of course, the first race of the season, so hopefully we can pick up the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, as we were watching kind of Philly go for a little spin just before everyone. Look, there's a lot of ways to warm up your tires, all right? I'm not going to be one to judge, especially when we get into the thick of things, but I am going to be curious on one outlap in particular that's happening right now. So if we could actually jump over to Kufu, who has already made their way. Well, never mind. There's a different outlap I'm going to be curious about, and it's not because I'm on the Mercedes side, but it's Mercy Hamilton right now. Look, I'm going to be a little biased at the start. Deal with it. Mercy, very fast driver last year in Academy. The big problem was the consistency and just trying to keep their nose clean. I do feel like, though, with this smaller grid, Mercy might actually be a threat to get a very high result in this race.
I definitely think so. Mercy's a pretty rapid driver. He was even looking at getting promoted up divisions. However, because of the assist restrictions and whatnot, he had a bit of trouble because he's still on the gamepad at the moment. He has a bit of trouble with that. But he's definitely a driver to keep an eye on this season in Academy, I think.
Speaking of drivers to keep an eye on, as we are watching Mercy go through turns 6 and 7 and just really trying to keep that speed moving forwards, a 121.2 for a first lap time out in Naps. Now, I don't know how your practice has been going, and maybe this is just the case of myself still kind of trying to climb those ranks. I feel like 121.2 for a lap 1 before the track has really rubbered itself in is actually quite a rapid pace, and Naps, a new driver to the circuit, might actually be someone we need to be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, we've got quite a few new drivers here this season that, we don't really know too much about. So Naps might actually be one to keep an eye on, as well as some of these other new ones, such as Azza and the VKSVYT. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to pronounce that. There you go. Mercy in the Mercedes actually comes pretty close to that pole position, gets into the 21s, 4 tenths slower though.
Yeah, 4 tenths, and that's a lot again before this track has really rubbered in. What we're going to be hoping for these Academy drivers is to get under that 121 mark. Realistically, we want to see them actually get under that 120.5. I think is the time that our pole sitter should be looking for eventually. Obviously, these outlaps, we're still getting a grip for it, but the Alfa Romeo team is definitely going to be that team that might be drawing a lot of eyes just because of the fact that they are new names. The other team, though, that's up there after these first laps is the two Ferraris, Snoopaloop and your boy Cappy. Now, these were two of the more midfielders in Academy last split, but with the smaller pack, with a lot of people being graduated up, this could be their season to shine.
Yeah, AlphaTauri had a bit of a rough one last season. I believe they came close to the bottom with just like quite a few DNFs and stuff like that, but I reckon they can turn it around this season, although, you know, the teams have been shuffled around a little bit. So, but yeah, you might be right. With these new drivers completely, it'll be very interesting to see how they go.
As we have had our first disqualification as well, Philly in the McLaren, we saw struggling a little bit just to keep themselves on the track before. They'll be starting at the very back of this race, and normally that's not something you would really be aspiring for. However, Monza, that infamous turn number 1, maybe starting in the back might not actually be that bad.
Yeah, if you're lucky, that might be the best way to avoid some potential carnage. But as we were saying before, we've only got 12 drivers, so hopefully we don't see, you know, that massive concertina effect down into turn 1 that we do sometimes see. Because, you know, with the more cars, the more that effect gets accentuated. So hopefully we can avoid that, keep it nice and clean, and see some really good racing tonight.
As we are keeping our eyes currently on VKSVYT. Gonna be curious to see what their sort of opening time will be a little bit later onto the track. They should be able to kind of put a faster time as a result. The track should be a little bit more rubbered in right now. They will be the last driver next to Siphon, who's still been sitting in the pits, to realistically get a lap time out as we kind of follow along with them. Doing a very good job keeping those gears high through turns 6 and 7, never dropping below 4th gear. You know they're having confidence in the car when that is the case. Down, of course, that last DRS straight, pushing high in that 8th gear, coming through Ascari, trying to keep it as full throttle as possible. It looked like they may have eased up just a tad, but it shouldn't be too detrimental. I'm thinking this is going to be a top time.
He did hit a purple second sector there. Unless my my graphics are lying to me, he did hit purple second sector, so this might be a really rapid lap.
I think it's going to be up there. Is it going to be a top lap, though? It will be enough for P3 at 121.3. And again, yeah, fast through Sector 2, and that's where they're keeping the high gears through turn 6 and 7. But I think that easing up in Ascari is what cost them perhaps a top 2 position, only about a 10th and a bit behind teammate Naps. It's Snoopaloop, though, first driver to get under that 121 mark with that 120.7.
Yeah, I think your guesstimate before of a 20.5 for final pole position should be pretty close here. We still have a few more minutes before the track reaches its final rubbered-in state, so the times will come down a bit more. We might even get under the 20.5. I don't think we'll get the 19s, though. I'd be very surprised if we get the 19s.
I don't think we're going to get into the 19s, not in Academy, and I'd even struggle to say that Novice will be getting there, but we definitely should be seeing 19s later in the weeks when, you know, our prodigies and our expert Tier 1 drivers do get out there onto the track. At the moment, we are following Belladat, who did have a bit of a roughie before. This time, though, looking a lot cleaner, already 6 seconds down on their previous lap time, although that's not to be too surprising. I still would like to actually see a little bit more pace from Belladat. Again, another one of those drivers who last season was kind of around in that midfield. A lot of unfortunate situations where they had some spins at awkward moments. Never really got the result they were looking for as they hit the final turn. Quite tight, actually. Not happening for that max speed.
It's going to be a little bit slow. The Alpha behind him might be a bit quicker as well. Oh no, he's coming to the pits. Okay, he was on an in lap. I was going to say, if that Alfa Romeo behind him was on a hot lap, he would have been getting quite a nice tow all the way down that post-Ascari straight into Curva Grande there.
I do want to go back to the point you're making, though, for Belladat being a bit slow through that final turn. Never really hit that 8th gear. It was kind of just sitting in 7th for a majority of it. They weren't really able to kind of get up to that peak speed that you're looking for, and I think that cost that final second or two as...
Naps, DNFs in Ascari. We have no drivers nearby him at the moment, so unable to get...
Will be a Mercedes soon. I believe that's Mercy who's going to be there soon, so we should be able to get an idea of what happened, but they've respawned. It's Ascari. We know what happened. Hit the throttle too early, you're going off the track.
Yeah, we've seen it quite a few times, unfortunately. Maybe took a little bit too much of that curb on the final corner there in that section, and it just sent him round into the wall.
Yeah, all I'm going to say in regards to Ascari is I am hoping I know it's been a while. I know we're excited to get back racing, get back out there. Please no two wides through Ascari. All right, let's just try and at least until you're really feeling comfortable again, because I can see so many things going wrong, especially coming out of that second DRS straight. If we're going to see some crashes and see some caution flags outside of turn 1, lap 1, Ascari is probably going to be the problem child.
Yeah, I think so. Because at least on the F122 now, the Lesmo corners actually seem pretty hard to spin in for the most part. It seems like the chicanes as well. So long as you're by yourself, there's not too much of an issue. There is always that risk of dive bomb, especially turn 1 early in the race, as you said. But yeah, I think Ascari's really the only corner here that is especially troublesome when you're just, by yourself trying to set your target times.
As I mean,
Oh,
Ufu's going
I take it back.
really slow.
Mercy has just gone around in Lesmo 1, so that's...
Yeah, I do want to challenge you a bit on that as well. At least from my experience, my practice, Lesmo has been the other problem area I've had.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it has been, because it's judging when you can really come down, and you can kind of, I don't know, it's something about that curve. It just feels a lot more slick than it did in previous games. Either way, though, we have a lot of drivers about to be starting their final lap, including the driver in 10th place, who I would like to follow for this one, Khufu Cowboy, with 6 minutes left. Well, I say last, they're sitting in 10th because Freed Slim also found themselves disqualified. 2 disqualifications now, out of 12.
I didn't catch what happened with that. Yeah.
It must have been I would assume it would be a spinning going backwards either way. Interesting first chicane out of Khufu as they're going to be coming around. Yeah, coming around turn 3, we're going to see if they're going to be able to sort of keep that speed again up high. Coming through that first sector, they are 6/10 down on their previous time, which is a very good pace to be setting right now. If you continue at that rate, Khufu could be looking at a top 5.
Yeah, it's looking really good so far. He manages to keep it clean through Lesmo 1. Gets on the power pretty nicely in Lesmo 2 and doesn't manage to lose much traction on the rear. So it's all coming down to Ascari.
Now remember, when we watched it before, when we saw that Naps went down to 4th, Khufu actually kept it through 5th through turn 7 in Ascari. Doesn't really eat that curb, actually opted for a much more conservative line, but was able to keep the foot down on the gas. I think we're going to be seeing a good time from Khufu right now. Only one more turn to go. Let's see how aggressively they take the end. It's a very wide line, not really going for the apex. Again, opting for the speed. Does it pay dividends for the Mercedes across the line? Khufu, they're jumping up places all the way. P5. What did I say?
That's an excellent increase, because he was went from P10 to P5. He shaved a significant amount of time off his quali lap there. So 21.5. I think Khufu can do better, but that is an excellent lap by him.
I'm just patting myself on the back because I called P5 at the end of the first sector.
It's true, you did too. Well done.
I was like, yeah, that's a 5th place time right there. Mercy trying to jump up to top 3, however, not quite under that 121 mark at the moment. It still is Snoop, who is out on another out lap right now, so we'll be getting one more lap time just to try and secure that pole. At the moment, Siphon realistically has been the only threat to it, with Naps retiring in the pits. We'll be curious to see if the Aston Martin from Siphon, one of the newer names, can take that pole away from Snoopaloo.
Yeah, Siphon has been around for a little bit, but hasn't participated in as many races as some of the other guys. But he is definitely one to watch, because he has quite a bit of pace when he does race, that's for sure.
I think the dark horse, though, and that could make Siphon a dark horse. The other dark horse who I wanted to talk about now at this stage, who unfortunately finds themselves disqualified, is a Freed Slim Shady, who the Red Bull team actually, they have potential to be quite fast if they can keep their nose clean. Art and Dash, as well as Slim, last season had a lot of unfortunate run-ins at times, and it really did hold back their scores. So I'm curious to see that disqualification from Slim. I'm also curious to see what Snoopaloop is going to do. They just started their hot lap. If we can follow our leader now, let's see what it takes. I will let you, James, take us through this entire lap.
So I was informed by someone actually that Freed Slim Shady had a quali ban, so that's why he disqualified himself. Oh, that's a rough exit of the chicane there. The rear gets a little bit loose. That's going to cost him a decent bit of time, but it may still be recoverable. It's early in the lap, and we don't know where he has time to gain. Coming down to the second chicane now. Let's see if he can keep it a little bit cleaner and a little bit tighter in the rear. Misses the first corner apex, but it's not too
No,
bad.
it's
He's
done.
aborted. Yeah, he's aborted.
It's done. 2/10 up, messing up that next chicane.
Yeah.
Not surprised to see the abort happening there. A bit unfortunate for Snoopaloop, but they are sitting on pole, and their biggest threat right now is just coming out of the pits as we speak. Siphon getting themselves back on the track, so they'll be starting their lap. I think we'll come back to them when they realistically get going. For now, though, Art and Dash also on an out lap looking to get ready, but
Ooh,
the closest
Belita.
driver to getting started.
The leader is actually 2/10 down at the end of the second sector on his time, so that's a significant improvement and should net him at least one position on the grid as it stands so far, if he can maintain. Maybe even able to improve some more. Comes into Curva Grande, bit closer to the apex, but still misses it by just a fraction, and keeps it relatively tight on the exit of Curva Grande as well.
That will be enough for P7, actually.
Nice,
Able to jump
6/10
Arton.
down.
That was a big lap. Granted, Arton is on the out lap right now and will be looking to improve in that same position. I am curious, though, on a current Alfa Romeo that has started their hot lap, one VKSVYT. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one, but they look very good through the first chicane, actually. I imagine they're going to be making up a lot of time. And for this Alfa Romeo, again, this is only their second lap. They were the one who set that big initial pole. And if anyone's going to be challenging these two front runners and can be looking to get under 120.5 right now, outside of Siphon, who is still on their out lap, I'm looking at this other Alfa Romeo.
It's a purple sector 1 for him, so he's definitely making some big gains, and if he can maintain it, he's looking at a potential pole.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a battle. I think Siphon as well, who has just started their hot lap, is going to be one we should be, you know, keeping our peripherals on. But at the moment, yeah, VK is looking pretty good down through that second sector. They're only 2/10 down on their lap, though, and they're going to need to dig. They're going to need a strong Ascari. Had to ease up a bit of traffic in front of them as well. It could equate to a tow, or it could be the end of their lap. That is Azza on the other Aston Martin.
Well,
Oh, and it's going to be into the turn 2, and that is going to cause some braking. I don't know, a little wobbly. I think VK is going to be a bit short, and now the hopes for stealing pole away from the Ferrari, it's going to be on the Aston Martin.
Oh, and Snoopaloop sets a improved
Purple.
time. 2/10 down. So there's that 20.5 as you called it. So yeah, that tow for VK there was actually really powerful, but Azza in the Aston Martin needed to get out of the way before Curva Grande in order to for VK to really benefit from that. The problem was, though, Azza wanted to start his hot lap, so he couldn't really get out of the way and let him pass without compromising that. So
Siphon is about to get pole. I'm calling it right now. 120.3.
yes.
Siphon across the line, gets it done just as qualifying comes to the end. Only one more driver out there in a hot lap at the moment, and that would be the Mercedes of Khufu. Only the last one to steal it away, and I'm going to be curious what Khufu's time is as they come across that second checkpoint. Are they really in the hunt, or is pole going for Siphon? 3/10 down, that's not going to be enough to compete for pole. It's going to be Siphon.
We do have Azza as well. We do have Azza in the other Aston Martin, who's actually going to cross the line very shortly. He's going into Curva Grande now, and he is up down on his time as well.
He's down on his time, but he's way behind. He ain't getting pole. He'll be lucky if he gets past Cappy, to be honest, unfortunately. And yep, does get Cappy.
So here comes Khufu. Let's see. No, a small improvement. Big improvement on time, small improvement on grid position for Khufu. He does manage to pip his teammate in the other Mercedes, though, being Mercy. So that will give us our final grid. It's a bit of a shame that Naps in the other Alfa Romeo DNF'd, because he showed some really good potential early on in that qualifying session, and then DNF'd not too long afterwards, and I think he would have been a competitor for a pole position or at least a front row had he not.
I think that could be the case. Also, I have to apologize for a little bit. I have dropped my controller. It's caused my game to freak out.
Yeah, you have a bit of a time before we start the race here.
I'm really hoping I didn't just break it. Oh no, we're working. Okay, we're good.
All right, so there you go, guys. That's our grid post-qualifying heading into the race. So we've got Siphon brings home that P1 with a 20.3. Snoopaloop In the Ferrari, the new racer of VK, Art and Dash, Kufu Cowboy, Mercy, new racer of Naps, Belida, Azza just recently joined the league, your boy Cappy, Freed Slim Shady, and then Philly. So
Yeah.
Freed Slim Shady, and Philly, unfortunately, unable to set a lap time.
And now comes the fun bit, everybody. You see that timer up there? That timer is actually taking us down to race time because there is no formation lap due to a bug, unfortunately. We're just going to be going pretty straight into the action, James. And I have to say, with that qualifying section, taking a look at some of the front runners, I do feel like we're going to be seeing, my prediction, a three-way shootout for that first place. And I think that first turn is going to be spicy.
Yeah, I'm hoping it won't be too bad. I have faith in these guys. Let's make it season. Let's make season 5 the season of clean racing. Come on, we can do it.
I want to believe, and I think with the smaller grid, there's a chance. Look, I'm a firm believer that Academy is cleaner than people give it credit for. I think the racers generally are more respectful, and more of the mistakes that you see have been like sort of individual errors and missing brake lines as opposed to trying to go for a greedy move. That said, there has been moments, and I'm looking at that third and fourth row, and I am sweating a little bit, but if they can keep it clean through turn one, I do think we should be seeing a clean race as the timer continues to tick away. Cappy has left the
He's
session.
left.
Are we getting a lobby remake? Please tell me no. Please, please. I think that was a mistake. Either way, here we go. I'm just going to roll right through this one because there is no formation lap. What we got is 5 red lights, and down they go. The Italian Grand Prix Academy Division is underway, and already carnage in the back as Azza goes straight into Philly, and our back markers are out of this race. Up front, though, it's single file until that Alfa Romeo of TTV and VK tries to go for a move. They're able to get one on Arton, who wound up spinning and kind of held the rest of the pack back. So it's Snoopaloop and VK breaking away at the end of turn number 1.
Yeah, there was a carnage straight off the line there. Unfortunately, they didn't even manage to get to turn 1 for a couple of them before taking up some damage. There was a little bit of contact, but mostly clean through the chicane, which is really, really good to see. And now the battling continues a little bit between some of these guys. Oh, and we've got Mercy.
Oh, does have ghosting on in this division, and that saved what could have been a big pileup. A bit unfortunate, though, for Mercy, and that's what I was saying before. Turn 6, it will get you if you try to push your luck a little too hard. So a couple spinners, a rough start for Azza, Philly, and Mercy. However, in the front, we do have a bit of a breakaway right now. Snoopaloop already nearly a second up. Art and Dash dropping behind our front 2 runners. That could be the head of the DRS train. Further back as well, the other McLaren in Beladat has a bit of a train forming behind them as well. Cappy looking to get themselves back in the race. Currently an AI car, as you can see. They should be back in focus soon. And it looks like we're going to have multiple packs starting to form at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, hopefully we can avoid any massive DRS trains, although it would be nice if the cars sort of can manage to do some good overtaking for us. This is, you know, a very, very DRS-heavy track, so I would not be surprised if we see those DRS trains forming.
Yeah, as I'm keeping my eyes currently on the backing, and Cappy with that AI is just beginning overtaking cars left, right, and center. The real action is in the front. Art and Dash actually has purple sectored 1 and is starting to make that climb back towards the front with TTV and Snoopaloop. Snoopaloop, though, has been pulling further away, but it looks like Art and Dash on the straights might have the pace on the Alfa Romeo up towards the front of the race. Similarly as well, Freed Slim Sadie a little bit further back has been slowly gaining on Beladat, who has been falling away from the pack. And if Freed Slim, we know they got that qualifying ban. If they're going to get involved later in this race, they're going to want to make a move on that McLaren as soon as the DRS starts to open up.
Yeah, 100%. If I personally, I wouldn't be trying to make any moves at the moment until
that. Oh no! Freed spun! Freed spun!
Oh, through Ascari
as well. Yeah, Ascari claims another, and that's going to hurt Slim's chances. Beladat will be able to defend P7 that little bit longer. As we start lap 3, DRS is going to open itself up on more of that back straight, but it looks like our top 3 drivers all out of DRS range. It's only Siphon who's going to be leading in charge. Naps as well actually has a really good run currently on Kofu. As Philly retired out at turn 6, that
and it's
causes a VSC.
Yep.
Is it a full safety? I think it's just a VSC.
No full safety at this stage. So it looks like he lost it through Lesmo 1. So I guess I was a little bit too confident. And as you said, those corners still look like they're claiming victims, as Mercy's had a spin there. We had a spin there in quali. Now we've had a spin there in the race through Philly in the McLaren.
Yeah, that's awkward. It is only a VSC, and I feel for Naps. That VSC, Naps had a run on the Mercedes at Khufu, but unfortunately the VSC kind of held them back right now. Granted, VSC doesn't mean resetting DRS, so as soon as this VSC ends, we can go straight back into DRS racing, and we should start to see some of those overtakes, particularly down that main straight. But right now, it's going to be a tough ask, I feel like. Snoopaloop's got themselves that nice lead. They seem to be handling the virtual safety car quite well. A lot of the action is going to be happening back in P5, P6. Because we are green.
Yeah, back to green racing, and really good to see no one picking up a penalty there at the end of that VSC. Oh, Snoopaloop.
Snoop's
He's had an incident. Yeah, through Curva Grande. He's gone around completely, and he's going to lose a number of positions as a result of that, because it's really hard for him to find a gap to rejoin onto the track afterwards.
Yeah, that's going all the way to the back. You got to be careful, though, like you don't wind up disqualified. That's great news, though, for the Alfa Romeo team. That's VK now currently sitting P1 out of DRS range of Art and Dash, and if they can keep it clean, it's going to be a good time. Meanwhile, Naps, again, looking to make a move onto Khufu, going around the outside. It's going to be a bit tight, though, into that second big chicane. I don't even think we need to get there because the move's already done, and it's Naps up into P4.
Yeah, he slammed the battery to get that done. Khufu used a little bit, but not too much to defend.
Khufu's coming back. Oh, was thinking about it, keeping it clean through turn 6. This DRS zone into Ascari, though, is going to be quite telling. Let's see if Khufu is going to go for the move again. A spin in the back. That's Snoopaloop spinning once again back in the second chicane. Things going bad for worse for the Ferraris, but the action happening up front, and because of the DRS change, it looks like Naps will be able to hold their position.
Yeah, Khufu had the DRS on Naps, but Naps had DRS anyway from Siphon, so we're seeing that train form all the way from Art and Dash in second, down to Belidat in, just before Belidat with Khufu Cowboy. So
Siphon's got a good run.
Siphon's
going to be looking. I think Siphon's going to be looking for a pass on the main straight. You can see getting right into the gearbox, actually, of Ayrton. High chance that Siphon's going to go for the move. Going to be forced to the outside in this situation. Wheel to wheel.
Ooh.
Nearly. Arton late on the juice, but it's going to come down to a braking battle. Or if that, instead, Arton's going to be forced to slip behind Siphon up into P2.
Can Siphon break away, though, or are these guys just going to trade positions once a lap, every lap until the end of the race?
I don't know, but we're seeing more moves being done as well further
Arton
back.
having a look at it. Arton trying to make a move back around the outside into the first chicane. Is there space left? They're going too wide into the chicane, and Arton yields. I think that's a wise decision by Arton there.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't wield, Naps was already in the gearbox looking to pounce, and Naps still might be looking to do so as we do move into our next DRS trains. This is great for Siphon as well, who has taken advantage of that pull-off and has already moved out of DRS range, so that's going to leave Arden exposed as Naps is just going to go right through that outside, speed right on past the Alfa Romeo, getting themselves back up into a podium position.
Yeah, Arden used a lot of his battery there, attempting to defend from Siphon and then overtaking, get the position back, and I think that ended up costing him quite dearly, although Naps did end up using a little bit as well. The current leader, VK, sort of just cruising at this point. He's not overly far ahead of the field, but he is out of DRS range of P2, and he has quite a bit of battery. He's using it just a little bit now to sort of maintain that gap.
Arden's
but yeah,
going.
he's cheering.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Arden had a
you're
peek,
right,
though,
you're right.
and then pulled away. Also, as you were speaking, Mercy had a little bit of a spinner as well through Ascari and has fallen further back for the Mercedes team. But, I mean, we saw Mercy before battling with Slim as well. I think they were pushing just to try to keep up and wound up pushing a little too hard. Speaking of which, our battle for P3 is getting interesting. Oh, that was a little spicy. Naps getting right into the gearbox of Siphon. I think the car's okay. In fact, Naps is still trying to fight for it. Wanted space on the inside. does have to pull off eventually, though, and this could be Siphon's opportunity to break away. Naps really pushing to stay in that DRS, and of course Arton sitting right behind, hoping for a little bit of chaos to think maybe they can strike in the end, though. It's another spinner further back as your boy Cappy has gone around on turn 6 through a Scary. Naps still looking, not going to find it.
Oh, and Naps
no!
actually goes around. Beautiful pirouette by him at the exit of Ascari. Manages to keep it out of the wall. He's going to have trouble rejoining, though, as actually Khufu has now disconnected. So I wonder if he had issues there.
Yeah, it could be an internet thing. We saw that from Cappy before, and they were able to rejoin. I imagine Khufu should be in a similar boat, so hopefully they'll get back into it. But with an AI driver currently sitting in P4, Khufu was already fighting to stay in the DRS range. In Academy, the AI is set to 60. They're not going to be able to keep up with this front runner. So
No,
unfortunately for
definitely
Khufu,
not.
that could mean, you know, a potential podium could be lost as an end result. And I feel like, James, right now, there's been some clean racing. Don't get me wrong, it's been great. The secret to success in Academy, and I can speak on experience, is not spinning. You don't spin, you get podiums. Like, that's just how it works.
I think that that advice extends pretty far beyond Academy as well, like all the way up to at least novice, almost prodigy. If you can be consistent, and this is what I was saying about HK when HK was racing in Academy last season. Because he was, you know, a little bit worried talking to him. He's like, oh, I'm worried. I'm not really fast here. Like, I don't have the pace. And I would say to him, like, mate, don't worry. Be consistent, and you will bring home podiums. You will bring home wins, and that's exactly what he did. You know, he wasn't the fastest qualifier, but he had good race pace, and he was consistent. Which you're right, absolutely.
And what did
brings
that
home.
consistency get him?
The win.
It got him second.
Second. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you got the win, didn't you?
Yeah, who's the winner here? Come on, man. Come on.
I forgot about that.
All season long, no respect. Even when sitting here, no respect. But no, I mean, you're absolutely right, though, right? It is consistency. And that was something that I think HK and I always had that same strategy. And it's why we were always the ones battling in the points. Whereas you looked at some of the other drivers like Rudy, who was faster than both of us, arguably could have won more races, but had more incidents and caused more crashes and spun out a few more. And that was the difference in the standings when it was all said and done. But, man, can't get no respect out here. I don't even know what to say. Let's talk tires. Let's talk tires. Because those soft tires of Snoopaloop, not really paying dividends at that early spin, so obviously they're going to be trying to make a pace.
I mean,
think that's good.
They were super early, but you know that's what the softs do. They're really fast for a short amount of time, and then they fall off hard. So I think Snoopaloo just started on the softs, expecting there to be more competition early on. He got off to a really good start on them, but then, as you said, had those spins, and I think they've fallen off from there. So it'd be interesting to actually know what percentage those tyres are on, because I imagine he'd be looking at pitting very soon.
Very soon. Exactly. That's what I was going to get at. The softs, they're probably going to be pitting soon. The hards can go from, I would say, realistically, about lap 7 to the end, and you won't have any issues. For the mediums, I think they work best 14, 15 laps. If there's a safety car or something, you can push that to 17, 18. But that's when we should be expecting the pits from the medium tires. And for the hard runners, like Khufu, like Beladat, they can go forever. They can kind of pick and choose whatever strategy they want right now. I feel like they're the ones who are really banking on that mid or late safety car to get the fresh tires at the end and make that run. So even though Khufu has kind of lost some time, because they started on those hards, if we get that later safety car, which, I mean, with the amount of spins we've seen, we very well might, there could be a chance that the hard tires might be the winning strategy out here today.
Yeah, I always feel like the hard to mediums is usually the better strategy in terms of pace, but you always run that risk of just losing track position off the line with that harder compound, which is, of course, the drawback to that plan. And I feel like here at Monza, it's probably a track where you can get away running hard to mediums as well, because all you have to do is stay within DRS range, and you should be good to go. But there's not really much chance of them getting away from you if you can stay in their DRS.
And again, that hard to medium strategy works so well if there's a medium or late safety car. But the weakness to that strategy is the early safety car, because then you
Yeah.
can get all the medium runners onto the hards early.
Yeah,
They don't have to pit
exactly.
again, and you're a pit stop down. But we've kind of passed that threshold. So I would say the hard tires are kind of in the right now. Speaking of DRS, by the way, Freed Slim on Azza right in the gearbox before making the move is going to be going towards that outside down the main straight. This is a fight for P6, and it's one that is going to be quickly won by the Red Bull.
Yeah, same tyre compound there. Ooh, and Azza actually got a little bit sideways out of the exit of the chicane there. A little bit of a drifty drift. So
that's going to open the doorway for Naps, who is now less than a second behind.
That's going to heat up his tyres quite a bit too when you start sliding around like that. Especially those surface temps light right up in the core, gets quite warm. Oh, big collision!
No!
Naps goes into the rear and ends up spinning himself. Azza manages to get away relatively unscathed, surprisingly.
Yeah, Azza's probably thinking, what the heck just happened right there? The madman just sent it into my back, but no problem, no foul. I think Naps just kind of misjudged the braking lines coming into that one, considering Azza was already a little squirrely back in that last chicane. Unfortunately for Naps, a little bit impatient. You were in DRS. You could have waited a little bit longer to make the move. Instead, you're going to find yourself 5 seconds back.
Yeah, which is exactly why we see the DRS zones here, the overtaking points. Like, there's not... You don't see people overtaking through Ascari, through Lesmo, into the second chicane very, very often at all, because it's just so risky, as you just saw what happened to Naps. All he had to do was play it patient, go around, half a lap more, and he would have probably got the overtake done easily. Oh, and we are seeing a couple of drivers come into pit here now, so Azza and Naps, both 10-lap-old mediums. I imagine they will be going onto the hards.
Yes.
It's hards for Azza, and it is hards for Naps as well. So no surprise.
Yeah, and also was just checking the damage on Naps. There was none hit, or if there was, they've opted to keep the front wing just to try to keep tempo, but I imagine that's good. I feel that's a little early for the swap, to be honest. The mediums should be good for another 4 or 5 laps, to be quite frank. At least in my trials. I don't know. Everyone, though, different setups, different feels for it. You never will know what's going to happen. Snoopaloop, though, could be the big beneficiary of this because of Nap's little incident before. It's actually Snoopaloop who pulls out ahead of Naps, or rather Naps pulling out behind Snoop, and Snoop in the DRS zone of Azza, who would still be warming up those tires. The Ferrari has a chance to make some moves happen.
It's right up close on the gearbox there of Azza, and you're right. The hard compound tires, especially taking a while to warm up, Azza loses that position pretty quickly to Snoopaloop.
Yeah, but if Azza can stay on DRS, they're going to be perfectly fine with it, as we see another person leaving Art and Dash now, having a little bit of technical issues. Not sure what's happened there. As it stands, Azza does get the DRS, the very tail end of it, but at this rate, at the tempo Snoop is driving at, and we kind of expect them to drive at, by the time we hit the main straight, I expect Snoop to be that 1 second up.
Azza needs to use a bit of the battery here to try and stay within that DRS range. I wonder if Snoop is going to use the battery to defend. No, not at this stage. Azza doesn't actually manage to get up on him, though, even though he did use a bit of battery.
Yeah, I think, it was a desperate attempt from Azza, but even going back to qualifying, the pace of these two drivers, I think, are different enough that Snoop
Absolutely,
is going to feel confident enough that, I got this, don't need to burn DRS, I'm going to need to save it for when these other medium tires start to pit right now, because Snoop, they're playing the long race, and a little squirrely at the end of that first chicane, but their race certainly is not done, and I'll be curious to see when Mercy and Slim pit next, as well as our front runners, by the way, who have been driving relatively clean. Siphon has been bleeding about half a tenth per lap at this stage against VK, who has been quite cruisy out in front. It's going to be a controlled drive from this point. Can't afford too many mistakes, and we'll see what happens as Siphon just got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
That's going to hurt.
Why pit again? Okay, I guess people really want to pit to those hards now, try to cover up maybe some of the other back markers that were pitting, but with that 5-second penalty, it's going to be doing them no favors as... interesting little bit of a visual bug right there. But yeah, they're going to be coming out. Siphon still should be in front of Freed Slim, I believe. We're actually going to get a little bit of a race out of the pits.
We've actually got Naps making a move on Azza. Looks like he's taking the inside line into Curva Grande. He's dropping some of that battery. Gets just in front of Azza on the corner entry, but runs quite deep. But I think Azza ran a little bit deep as well, so was unable to get any sort of switchback or better exit. And who's got DRS is the question. So Azza's got DRS. He's making the run back at Naps.
And I think he's going to get it as, yeah, Azza just straight on that outside will get the position. I want to jump back up to P5 as well, though, because Slim is also going to have DRS on those old mediums right now up against Siphon, who did just come out on those hards with that 5-second penalty. As Naps actually got back ahead of Azza as well. Sorry, like 2 battles happening at the same time. I do feel, yeah, P9 might be a little bit tenser as Slim has lost DRS range. So yeah, Azza and Naps, definitely the fight to be watching apparently right now.
Yeah, it's pretty close between those two, and Azza's tyres should pretty much be up to temperature now. You'd think he's done a lap on them at this stage, so they should be up to temp, and it looks like he might be in a position where he's
BK
gonna
pit.
start challenging. Well, he has.
BK
Yeah.
has pit, or our leader has pit coming out now, and they look to still be well and truly ahead of Siphon again. I mean, coming out on that outlap, the hard tire might be able to make some time, but because of that penalty, it's going to be a little bit dicey if Siphon's realistically going to make a move. And now the game becomes sort of that race of attrition, right? When do Kofu and Beladat opt to pit? Kofu in particular is the one who could still possibly compete with these top runners, but the question is all about that timing. When do you feel confident enough as we see other medium tires coming in? That's Freed, Slim, and Mercy now going for their pits as well. That means all of the medium runners have now come in and out of the pits.
Oh, and they're very, very tight there as Freed Slim Shady leaves the pits and gets caught up in the battle between Azza and
Azza got him.
Naps.
Yeah, Azza got him. Well done by Azza. Able to get ahead of Freed, who's going to be a little bit frustrated, I think, with that coming out in an awkward position. But you can't afford to push, right, James, because of those colder tires. If you push, you're asking to go to Spinsville. And, well, at the moment, you're asking to go into the gravel. Does get themselves back on the track. Lost a bit of time.
Lost quite a bit of time, yeah.
Yeah, and don't push yourself. Good. Keeps it on the track. Slim will be okay for now. Has some work to do. And that leaves only 2 drivers left to pit. Out in the front, Kufu and Beladat, our current first and second place. Only 2 drivers still needing to make that tire change.
Siphon within DRS range of VK here now since VK pit. I think he's going to be too far back to make any sort of lunge going into turn 1 though, but he is right up behind him, so this might be something we want to keep our eyes on moving forward for the next couple of laps.
Yeah, it will be a good place to keep focus. Again, Siphon, though, with that 5-second penalty, needs to get this move. And I think that's why we're seeing Siphon probably just pushing as aggressively as they can. It's going to be a tough ask for the Aston Martin driver, realistically, to get that pass done and get the time, having seen VK's pace before. They are going to stay in that DRS range for now. And I think, honestly, if you're Siphon, unless you see the mistake from VK, your main goal should be just trying to hold station, just trying to coast off this DRS before you lose yourself to VK, as they are struggling even with DRS just to stay within that 1 second.
And using battery as well. So he had the DRS open and using some battery, although Naps back in the field picks up his first time penalty from multiple warnings, track limits that would be. But yeah, Siphon sort of staying with VK. As you said, waiting for a mistake before he has any real opportunity. But VK, from what we've seen so far, very consistent driver.
Kufu in the pits. So we're going to see that switch from the hard to the mediums. Beladat actually opting to stay out. So look for an overcut in the battle between these two. I'm going to be curious to see where Kufu does come out, because Kufu was sitting P4 mostly this race when they went for the pits. And you can see Art and Dash is actually going to get over on them on the undercut from the mediums to hards, but those mediums should have the pace, and now the pressure is going to be on. What can Kufu do on the softer compound?
Just after Kufu pit there as well, Siphon went really deep into turn 1, ended up cutting the chicane. Actually did a really good job of rejoining safely and not gaining an advantage. However, he did end up losing a lot of time as a result of that as well. So he's now well outside of that DRS range of VK.
Speaking of DRS.
Yep, VK is possibly making the move on Beladat or Beladat, sorry.
Don't risk it. Don't risk it.
Don't go too into it, Scary.
Don't do it. But at the same token, though, Beladat is holding VK up, and it's allowing Siphon to catch back up.
Yeah,
so you're
this
going to
is
want to make that
huge.
move A bit of a spinner further back. That snaps to a spun off back on the second chicane, but we're going to stay up front right now because VK now is going to go to the move before the DRS range, and that's going to open the doorway actually for Siphon to piggyback on DRS off Beladat. Siphon very happy that Beladat has decided to stay out a little bit longer because it's just going to slingshot Siphon right back into range themselves as another spinner for Naps. I mean, those tires definitely not doing them any favors. VK actually is going to get pressured by the McLaren of Beladat, who wants to go on the outside. And
Beladat
Siphon
locks
is
up quite
loving
badly.
this. A bit of a lockup as well. I think Siphon got the best of that exchange, had the tight inside line, but now is stuck behind the McLaren, who lost time because of the lockup, and now VK is starting to pull away. Now VK is grateful for the hard compound driver as we move into the second chicane again. Siphon just no avenue to make the move work. Looks to the outside, tries to go back on the inside. Actually, he's going to go for it into turn 6, too wide. Here we go, and gets it done.
I think Beladat had a little bit of a moment there exiting that second chicane, and what was working out for Siphon in the beginning with Beladat's older tyres holding up VK actually ended up biting him quite badly on the return, with Siphon being held up by Beladat's older tyres. So I think Siphon overall actually ended up the net loser there. Just in terms of where they were positioned on the track when he was trying to get past that McLaren on the old hard compound, and it cost him a lot more time, whereas VK was able to get past him quite quickly just because of where he came up on Beladat.
And what's interesting too is I think the big winner overall out of all that, outside of VK, who Siphon is actually gaining on, I'm going to go back to Khufu, because Khufu and Beladat were the two hard tires who were staying out there, but Beladat getting caught up in that battle. Khufu and Clean Air should be making up space, should be making up time, and again, their main goal right now is running down Art and Dash, and it does seem like that the Mercedes is making about a second per lap currently on the older hards of Arton, and we'll be keeping tabs on that, obviously, as this race moves ahead. VK definitely has the higher top speed, I feel like, on Siphon. Siphon, I think, running a little bit more downforce, always seems to make up a bit of ground on those turns right now. But with how fast this track is, it's one thing to make up time. Unless you're getting into that DRS range, though, I don't think Siphon's ever going to have the top speed to make the overtake unless we see that mistake from VK.
Yeah, that's the thing. Being fast through the corners is great for catching, but it doesn't give you overtaking opportunities.
Mercy. P9. We got a DRS battle happening. Mercy has been able to catch up to Azza right now. I don't mean to jump to the back, and I did mean to cut you off, but we actually could be seeing another battle between green and silver cars.
Yeah, the Aston Martin and the Mercedes getting really, really close here. Mercy on the same compound tyres, but very, very slightly newer. Not really new enough to make a massive difference. And Mercy gets really, really close there through Lesmo and ends up having to lift probably a little bit more than he would have liked to, which is going to cost him down the stairs soon.
I like seeing that, though. This makes me happy. Again, Academy is all about learning. It's about developing your racecraft, developing your skills. Mercy of 2-3 months ago, maybe even a month and a half ago, would have driven straight into the gearbox. Oh, they lost it a little bit, but they recovered. It's all good.
He almost drove straight into the wall instead. Man, that was a close one.
Look, I'm giving compliments, and I'm not Castro cursing this one, all right? Mercy showed patience, and that is something Mercy struggled with. I think we can go back to Australia being a key race where it really did bite Mercy in a lot of the upper midfield. I mean, I was thankful for it because it's a big reason why I won that race, but it might not have happened if Mercy wasn't as gung-ho, as aggressive as they were. So to see that patience, to see that development, that's all what Academy is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, everyone was there when they first started, you know, sim racing or whatever it may be, where, you know, everyone goes, oh, I can get him now, tries to get the move done, and either gets it done in the wrong spot, which costs them in the long run, or, you know, they cause an incident, cause a contact, get damage, ending themselves or other people's race. I know I definitely did the same thing when I first started league racing and stuff like that. I made, you know, some borderline questionable dive bombs and whatnot, but yeah, and that's just part of maturing as a driver, and it's really, really good to see a lot of these drivers, as we're now starting season 5, mature in those ways, and we get to see better racing as a result of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, look, all I'm going to say is I've always been perfect unless we're racing at Imola. But that's neither here nor there. No, I have to agree. Like, everyone's had their mistakes. Everyone's had those oopsies moments. And I think the big thing, as long as you take those moments, raise your hand, say, yes, I'm at fault here, and learn from it, that's really that winning attitude to have. And that's an attitude that I've seen Mercy adapt. So credit to them for that. Let's go back to the front right now, because we got a little battle happening. Siphon kind of being held up a bit by traffic, it looked like. Naps, the soft runner, the blue flag, just kind of coasting right behind Naps at the moment. And we got to be kind of mindful of these blue flags. One of the rules that's being implemented is, even though ghosting is on, if you get blue flagged, you got to get out of the way. It's a little sore spot. But it looks to me, though, that was the case. And Naps now is just content just to coast right behind the likes of Siphon, despite being a lap down.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Naps, I'd definitely try and stay with him, because even though, he is a lap car at this point, he still wants to, set the quickest lap times he can and whatnot. And he's getting the DRS advantage. Even though he's a lap car, he still gets DRS.
Trying to unlap himself now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Oh, no, he does make the wiser decision and tuck back in, which is good to see. He is ghosted, so there can't be any massive incidents before. Oh, Belita coming into the pits finally. Onto the softs. So he's doing a hard soft stop for the last 6 laps here.
And I think this is going to be very clear. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on this strat to see how it realistically does pay off. And I mean, for Belly Dot right now, they're going to be coming out, kind of going wheel to wheel with Slim. And I think Slim is going to stay behind. And even though the softs might be a little bit colder, and even though we're seeing a lockup, I do expect Belly Dot to hold on. Those soft tires will warm up quite quickly.
Yeah, they should come up to temp a lot quicker than we saw those hards come up when the medium runners stopped for the hard. So I think Belita shouldn't have any major issues keeping Freed away from him. Although he does run very deep into the chicane. It goes over the sausage curbs. That costs him a massive amount of time, and he loses the position to Freed Slim Shady.
Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit awkward, but as soon as those softs warm up, I do expect to see Belly Dad get it back, assuming they can keep that pace. I mean, it's definitely something to be mindful of. They are able to stay within the DRS range, and it won't be till the main straight where we get to see them kind of clap back at it. I do want to quickly note as well, when it comes to those alternate strats, the other one to watch out for was that hard to medium. Kufu, over the past 4 laps, has only gained about a second on Art and Dash, and at this stage, I'd say strategy not that successful. So as boring as it may sound, unless Belly Dad does something crazy on the softs, the medium to hards do seem to be the winning strategy of the race.
Yeah, I think so. And there, Belita gets Freed Slim Shady. Freed Slim Shady goes around and curves Le Grande.
Yeah, and now we got traffic starting to come up behind him, so Slim is actually going to lose out on 3 positions as that battle between Azza and Mercy just goes right on by. Speaking of Mercy, they're under a 1/10 of a second now, getting right behind that Aston Martin. They're going to look for the move on the outside, and I think the speed is there. Or is it? They're going to go wheel to wheel into the chicane. Space was given, a little bit of a love tap, but eventually Azza does have to back out. Mercy takes P7.
These guys are both absolutely slamming those ERS batteries as well. So they're both down into harvesting territory. And we still have 5 laps to go. So they may have sort of gone too hard, too fast here. And we'll see.
I mean, Slim is a fast driver. Slim could make that comeback, so we'll keep our eyes on Slim and see whether or not they're going to be able to run down the likes of Mercy and Asa. Bellidat, about 9.5 seconds now behind Snoopaloop. I doubt we're going to see that climb. Snoopaloop, who, by the way, has actually been gaining on Kufu, who is on those mediums, and that's going to be a bit of a chase right there for P4. But when it comes to our podium, when it comes to our front runners, Siphon, that 5-second penalty is kind of going to be looming over their head. VK has driven a consistent race, a clean race. They're still on that warpath into P1.
Yeah, VK's had a really consistent race, as you said. It's been not without battles. He has sort of had to fight a little bit for that position he's currently got, but he was never really pressured too hard. So, yeah, it's looking at this stage as though he's on for a really good shot here. I don't want to say anything too confirmatory, lest I curse him horribly, so I'm just sort of trying to dance around it. Yeah, Siphon, as you said, with that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, might be okay, as Arden is 12 seconds back, so as long as no one has any major problems here, it shouldn't have an issue. And as I say that... Naps DNF through Ascari.
On
Pushing
the
too
soft
hard.
tires as well. Yeah, pushing a bit too hard, but no safety car, no VSC. I think the crash happened off the road. We can kind of see Khufu have a look at that. Is not off the road. That is in the middle.
Yeah, that's surprising. that's surprising. That's not a full safety
Are we
car.
in Zandvoort still? Is that what's going on here? Like, look, it's an Alfa Romeo in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well.
I don't know how that didn't cause a safety car. Maybe. Are we too close to the end of the race for it to cause a safety car or something like that? Is
It's
a
lap
programming
25. Lap 25 would be too close. So, like, it would have been safety car for 1 lap.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Oh well. You know what? We go racing, all right? And as it stands right now, that means assuming no more DNFs, all the drivers who finish this race is going to be getting points. And that's going to be a good feeling, especially for Cappy, who's all the way in the back. Our closest battle, though, still Mercy and Azza. Now fighting for P7. Mercy currently ahead. Azza just getting right behind them. Not enough juice, though, on the main straight to make the move. But it's Freed Slim, who's now started 4.5 seconds back after the spin. After 2 laps, only 2.5 seconds behind.
Yeah, he has gained a little bit. I don't know if there's long enough left in this race for him to actually get a position on Azza, though.
It's going to be tight. I mean, it comes down to the juicing, right? It comes down to how much battery you have in the tank, because we've seen some drivers make some pretty heroic charges at the end of these races. Speaking of heroic charges, Snoopaloop as well, getting ever closer to getting in DRS range of Khufu. And you have to remember, Snoopaloop, they were looking like a favorite to win this race.
Yeah, he had a really good qualifying. Unfortunately, he had a couple of incidents early on which put him towards the back of the pack, and he's been on the back foot trying to fight his way up ever since.
Well, now is in DRS range, so this could be that opportunity to get even closer to the medium tire runner right now. Khufu down that main straight. They take about 9/10, turn it into 4/10, half a second gained, and that means we could be looking at either a second to last lap or last lap pass for that crucial, I should say, P4 position.
Yeah, so he's definitely in a position where he can challenge now. Azza and Mercy, that battle's still going on, but they're both basically flat on batteries at this point. So I think we'll stay with Snoopaloop and Khufu, as Azza actually has a time penalty as well. So
yeah, that's it. Like, unless Azza does something crazy, Mercy realistically just needs to kind of sit in that DRS until Freed Slim gets involved. And speaking of going crazy, super wide Snoopaloop got a little bit nervy right there, pulls out of the turn, and now out of DRS range. That could have been P4 given away.
he did get DRS down that straight, but I doubt he'll have it again down the main pit straight. I wonder if that was the dirty air that caused that, or maybe he just ran deep, sort of getting too excited and too close to Khufu.
Outside of Cappy, it's also the oldest tires on the track, right? So those
Yeah,
hards.
that's true. The hards can do 15, no problem, though, right?
Exactly, but we also, the spin happened on the last compound, so not sure what happened there. Snoopaloop's going to be a little bit frustrated with themselves. They still have 2 more laps, though, to try to make it happen, and I do expect we could still see a last lap challenge coming from the Ferrari.
He's got a lot less battery than when he was in this position last time, and Khufu actually has a pretty significant amount of battery, considering how late we are in the race. He's sitting on 52% compared to Snoopaloop's 20.
I think that's it.
So,
He got squirrely.
yeah.
He got squirrely coming out of the turn 1 chicane and lost another half second.
Yeah, that's going to put him too far back to catch up in time, I think. And maybe it could also be that those hard tires are starting to really go now after the 16 laps, because he looks like he's losing just a bit of time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Khufu on the mediums starting to pull themselves further and further away. Similarly, actually, Mercy was able to pull about a second onto Azza, and I don't think that was because of a mistake, because even Slim is still at that same position back. So the Mercedes holding a little something left for the end of the race in their tank right now, taking advantage of it as we do start our final lap. Yes, there's still racers in the front. Snoop! What happened to Khufu?
Khufu had a moment through Ascari, which lost him enough time for Snoopaloop to be able to pounce down the second to last straight.
Well, but the problem is there still is a main straight.
And now Khufu's got the DRS.
Yeah, Kufu's going to try to take it back. You've been saving that juice for this moment. Fakes the inside, goes to the outside, and the speed is favoring the Silver Arrow, but we're still going to go contact! And super wide from Snoopaloop. There was no door given, so over the curbs goes Kufu. That one could be investigated. I feel like, though, Snoop just shut the door way too early from behind, and I think Kufu should be right for P4 unless we see another attack.
What it looked like to me, and I'm not entirely sure, Snoopaloop running really deep in the second chicane. I think those tyres might be cooked now after pushing that hard. They're probably overheating as well.
Kufu's giving the position
is
back.
Redressing. So I guess Kufu was really worried there about how he got that position in turn 1. And so wanted to redress on track.
I don't like that. I feel like Snoop pushed him off diving from behind.
Well, I think Snoop sort of had a bit of a lock-up into turn 1, and then that's what happened, and that's what pushed Kufu off. However, I think Kufu, from my perspective at least, probably took advantage of that a little bit too much when he cut the chicane.
That's a tricky one. We'll leave it for smarter people than us to determine, although you might have to. I think you still are the FIA there. Either way.
I resign.
Well, there we go. Either way, VK has won the race. Siphon will come across P2. Art and Dash finishes P3. Snoop does finish P4 with Kufu P5. We'll be curious to see what happens there. Belladat in the softs will cross the line in P6. Mercy was able to hold off Freed Slim. Azza had a moment further back as well, wound up spinning actually on that first chicane. They dropped back down to P9 with their penalty, and your boy Cappy had a bit of a roughie out there. Still sitting P10's going to be a while before they cross the line.
Yeah, he did, unfortunately. Even right from the get-go with the early disconnection issues. Before the race started, essentially, before we had the lights out, he was disconnected from the lobby and started bleeding positions as a result of that. But so that's an unfortunate start to the season for him.
Yeah, not the start that he would have liked to see, but look, all I'm saying is in the chat right now, Snoop went too deep pushing, and that's coming from the Ferrari team, or yeah, the Ferrari team saying that. That's all. Just reading Twitch, just seeing that, and that's what it looked like to be the case for me. Either way, I don't think there were orders to give that position. That was a decision made by Kufu, and if it winds up giving P4 over to the Ferrari team, Kufu's going to have to live with that. But that's P4 and 5. What we should be doing is celebrating our winner, and that is VK from the Alfa Romeo team. Not too much to say about their drive. It was just, you know, they took advantage of the early mistake at the start from Snoopaloop, held P1, took it all the way to the house.
Yeah, they did a really good job. They did have to do a little bit of defending here and there, but nothing too crazy. Siphon, as we said, one to keep a little bit of an eye on, did manage to pressure here and there throughout the race, but ended up picking up a 5-second penalty, which really made it very hard for him to contest the win. Art and Dash with the podium brings it home. That's really good for the Red Bull. Snoopaloop in the Ferrari also gets fastest lap of the race, so that's extra points for him in the championship, which could add up to be a significant at the end of the season. Then we've got Kufu and Belida, Mercy, Freed Slim Shady, Azza, Cappy, and then our 2 DNFs of Naps and Philly.
Don't forget to hit that race director, by the way, to go over all the warnings.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case anyone wants it.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just going to quickly hit that. Not too many this race. In fact, no safety cars from the Academy, just the
we had the one virtual, yeah. And to be fair, we probably should have had one at the end as well, which we didn't end up having, but I definitely think we should have. So.
Yeah, which would have made things interesting, I think, for sure. But overall, clean race. Only one bit of kind of contact that we saw at the end. Obviously, when things get dramatic, it does play out that way. But to start off the season for Academy, again, I have to admit, I'm impressed largely with the racecraft that we saw today. There was a fair few battles wheel to wheel, kept mostly as clean as possible, as you would expect. And hats off to these drivers. They put on a very nice show.
Yeah, it was excellent. Let's see who is around still for some interviews. So we have.
I mean, I would like to grab Snoop and or Kufu if possible, as well as obviously VK, our winner. Like those are the two. Those are where my eyes are at.
I think we can get all of them. So we'll bring up VK first and see if he is happy to have a bit of a chat. So VK, how are you, mate? You are currently sitting in the commentary box, and we're just wondering if you were interested in doing a bit of a post-race interview.
Oh, yeah, I'm keen.
Awesome, mate. So, how you feeling after that race? Congratulations on the win, the position one.
Oh, honestly, that was quite difficult at the start. Siphon at the start had much better pace. I was really expecting him to come back and beat me, but after he got that penalty, the relief just kicked in, and yeah, wow. I'm still shocked that I managed to win.
Is this your first win in a league race, pray
Uh,
chance?
this is my first proper league race in general.
Awesome, mate. Starting
Oh,
out strong.
well, first of
Yeah,
all, yeah, big congratulations on that. Talk about a way to leave a mark. Now, I think there was a couple key moments in that race though where things could have gotten a little bit nervous, including when you were coming up on your teammate who was kind of being blue flagged at the moment, and that kind of led to some shenanigans, as well as the McLaren as well that you had to get around, who was staying out on those hard tires. Belly Dat, I believe. Were you concerned when you saw Belly Dat still on the track and you had to kind of overtake the hard tire runner?
I was very concerned. I thought he was going to pit the next lap, but I seen he wasn't going in, so I knew I had to make the move stick. So I just went for it, made the move stick, obviously. It was a big hump of relief. And then, yeah, no, in the, in our commentary, we were talking, telling him to move over to the right so he can let me through with the blue flags. And from there, it was just massive relief. My teammate helped out quite a lot. It was unlucky what happened with his race, but he helped me get this win. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's a bit of the Alfa Romeo camaraderie there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great teammate. I'm looking forward to this season with him. Hopefully, we can bring it home for Alpha.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I do kind of want to follow up on that first race, one win. Snoopaloop though did have that pace as well, and unfortunately they ran into some trouble early.
He
Do
had
you
some very good pace.
do you feel like it's going to be looking at the end of this first race, those three kind of front runners, yourself, Snoopaloop, as well as oh my gosh, I'm struggling on the name. I want to call him Sneaky or something, but I know that wasn't it. The Aston Martin driver. Who cares? They drive for Aston Martin. Their name's not important.
Whoa,
Like
whoa, 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 whoa. Hazard
Siphon, yeah.
or Siphon.
Siphon,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
I definitely think that them two are gonna give me a bit of competition towards the end of the season, but it's gonna be a good battle. That hopefully Naps can come back and give me a challenge as well.
Sick. Well, thank you very much, and again, congratulations. Celebrate not just your first league race, but your first league win. That is what dreams are made of. So, uh, don't let the expectations get to you. Don't let your head grow too big. It's still a long season to go.
Thank you, boys. Have a good one. Thanks for your time.
You too, mate. See ya.
See ya.
All
How
right.
is that for a
That's
story, Mike?
awesome. First league race, or first proper league race, I believe he said, and brings home P1 with I wouldn't say ease, but without any major dramas. That's awesome.
You know what it reminded me of?
Mm-hmm.
Race one in France last season.
No, I
With
don't know what you're talking about.
no, but that was Rudy. Rudy had
Oh,
that
yep,
race
yep, yep.
in the start. Solid 2-second lead over second place. Stung a little bit. Obviously was a big pressure drive from Rudy, but they were able to hold on, come across that line, and it was fantastic stuff. So, and I feel like when you look at past drivers of Academy and in this league, Rudy is someone who you would want to be with. Fast driver.
Yeah,
When they keep it
absolutely.
clean, they finish well. That's a good sign from VK.
Absolutely, yeah. And he seemed to keep his head about him too, which will be good. We'll keep an eye on him moving forward and see how he goes through the championship. Hopefully, he can maintain.
Hopefully.
We can. Who else do we want to
I
grab?
want
We want to
Snoop.
grab
I want
Kufu
Snoop.
and Snoopaloop, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want one of the two. We don't need both, and I feel like Snoop was the one on the inside.
Let's grab Snoopaloop. We'll pull him out of the Ferrari chat into commentary. Snoop, how are you going, mate?
Oh, where am I hearing this from?
Welcome to commentary. Welcome to the booth.
Hang on.
Wanted
It
I'm
is.
such a idiot. Fucking.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Where am I hearing this from? Am I fucking losing my mind?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're on the
Where
stream,
am
mate.
I?
You're in the commentary box. We're
Oh, whoops, whoops, whoops.
Oh, and he's gone.
Right, well, let's get Snoop in here.
Right, Snoop was not interested in doing an interview apparently. Right. Not only did he not go back to his his team's
He's
chat. He
gone.
just disconnected from the Discord.
He just failed. He pulled a runner.
He popped smoke. All right, we'll get Kufu.
I think he probably thought, like, when the police were coming, knock, knock.
Oh, he's back.
Gone.
He's back in Ferrari now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's funny. Kufu, hello. Sorry to drag you out of that conversation. Welcome to the commentary booth. Time for an interview, my friend, and I think you know where this is going. First of all, congratulations, top 5 finish.
Thank you.
Arguably could have been top 4. What happened from your perspective going into that first chicane on lap 26?
My brakes just locked up, and so I cut the corner, and I just thought it was only right to give it back to him.
Okay,
oh,
so
okay.
were you aware of what was happening beside you?
No, had no idea.
Oh, that's
Interesting. All right. Well,
I'm sorry to break and like be a little bit biased, but that's painful to hear. Look, you did the right thing. Good on you. We'll chat later.
yeah.
I might look at the replay now.
Yeah.
From the broadcast perspective with the camera, it looked like you may have been contacted from the inside. It was
no contact.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, I
No,
thought
but it
I
was
saw a little
forced
bit.
off. There was no window there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. The Ferrari beside you missed the turn as well, and you were going off even if you didn't lock up.
Yep.
So it happens. But like again, it's always good to play it safe and sorry. And I think that goes back to a point I was making during the race. And Kufu, I'm sure as a driver in this division, you're probably going to agree with it. Academy is about learning racecraft. It's more about doing the right thing and learning how to drive properly on the track. And in a situation where you mess up, you give the position back. Do you feel like that's the kind of racing that realistically we're going to be seeing all season from these Academy drivers?
I don't know. Like, I think maybe closer to the end, but at the start, I don't think so. Everyone's going to be fighting just to prove themselves.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. And I guess a follow-up question right now, before I send you back on your way, let's talk strategy a little bit. One of the only driver to go from hard to mediums in the entire field right now, and it looked like for the most part didn't really have as large of an impact as you were hoping for. Now, Snoopaloop was the pole sitter, had the fastest pace, seeing them catch you, probably a little bit frustrating, but you didn't really make the ground onto Arton as well. Do you feel like the hard to medium strategy probably isn't it in hindsight, or do you still believe that was the correct way to go?
No, I was catching him at the start, and then the game crashed, and yeah, I lost all my time there.
That's
Yeah, we did see you disconnect there. A couple of other people sort of had similar issues. Like I know your boy Cappy disconnected sort of like right at the very, very start of the main race, and I think a couple other drivers had the same sort of thing.
Yeah, Arden Dash did when he went into pits, and I thought, okay, I'm going to get him now.
fair enough. Well, last question before we send you back on your way. Let's just like overall expectations for the season, expectations for yourself. P5, solid start, kind of right in the middle considering only 12 racers started this race. Is this sort of where you expected to see yourself? Do you have higher expectations as the season go, or was this sort of an overachievement, do you feel, for yourself in the Mercedes team?
No, I think I can see us being up there, if not fighting first, second, maybe third, fourth as a team together each race.
Mhm.
So yeah, I reckon we'll get there in the end as teamwork, and Mercedes will come out on top for constructors.
All right. Well, I personally like hearing
Interesting.
that.
I don't know about that. We'll see. I
I'm
reckon
okay
I reckon Mercedes might have a pretty big challenge from the Aston Martins this year, or this season rather.
I'm looking at the Alfa Romeos. I'm looking at VK. That's the
Yeah.
kid's first race, and
Well,
he's already winning.
And
That
Naps
doesn't
looked
bode
strong as
well.
well with him for the
True.
majority of that race until he had that unfortunate moment in Ascari that resulted
Even
in
the
a
Ferraris
DNF.
looked fast. Even the Ferraris were up there, so I think it's going to be a tough season. But I like those expectations, Kufu. I'm with you. Mercedes is going to win out in the end. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Where were you, Kufu? I'll send you back to Mercedes, won't you?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, see you, mate. All right, that pretty much wraps it up here for us.
Yeah.
It was an interesting race. You know, it did sort of start to do Monza things towards the end, where it's it's either a DRS train or it's everyone spread apart and not too much action. But it was exciting nonetheless throughout what I feel like it was the whole of the 27 laps.
Yeah, I mean, considering we didn't have a full grid, We didn't have any full safety cars. Had the VSC, but it was a fast race, a majority clean race, a couple spinners here or there, especially at the start. And I think that's going to be catching out a lot of the divisions. The first 5 laps, a lot of people are going to be susceptible to those spins. Outside of that, though, I'm pretty happy with this Academy division, and we even have what looks to be 3 front runners who could be competing for race wins. I think it's going to be a fun division to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, it was relatively clean too. Even turn 1 on Monza, which can be a nightmare. So hopefully that sets the tone for
Yeah,
all of the divisions across this season. Let's try and keep it like that.
If you're going to crash, do it before turn 1. Do it on the starting grid. That's what Old Mate James says.
This is not legal advice. Disclaimer.
Yeah, no. It's patented, Old Mate James. I think that will do it for us, though. One last time, I have been formal joined with my Old Mate James, who is also working the cameras and all the graphics. Thank you to HK as well for building that amazing intro that we saw. To all the racers competing, to everyone in the Twitch chat who jumped in and said hi. Do make sure, if you're new to the ARL, the Aussie Racing League, to follow along in that Discord. Get involved. As you saw right here, our bottom division, we're still looking to fill those driver spots. There's still a lot of places for you to get in here and get racing. So do raise your hand. We'd love to have you here. And, well, tune back in tomorrow because it's going to be Div 3, same track, a little bit later in the time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys catch you. See you later.